is the Protoss player at the bottom of Antigua shipyard in the red colors. It is
Hero.
Heroes with 65% win ratio against Zerg. His opponent, the top,
StarCraft July
has 62% against Protoss. So
yeah, July actually is doing pretty well against Protoss. Usually, what the case ends up being with July, and you guys have seen this a lot, the case usually ends up being that July goes until he's got that third base up. He's got about 60 to 66 drones. Then he just makes roaches, continues to attack his opponent with really good roach micro, and kills him.
11 pool by July.
Yeah. So he's going for that earlier pool. Wants to punish a Forge Fast Expand, and especially a Nexus first, but luckily for Hero, he scouts immediately.
And July is actually going for that pool after the Overlord. And we talked about yesterday, there are two ways how you can build this, an 11 pool. You can either start the Overlord, the second one, before you go for, the first Overlord, before you start the pool or after you started building the pool. And July decides to build the pool a little bit later. His Zerglings will be there in time order to put a little bit pressure onto Hero. And Hero will be forced to wall off before building his Nexus, while July doesn't lose all that much economy.
Yeah, very true. Queen and 2 Zerglings started immediately here for July.
He's skipping the 6 Zerglings completely, or at least he's delaying them.
Yeah, he got a little bit, he actually got, looks like an extra Overlord there. So rather than going for the 6 Lings, and that's an okay choice, especially considering his opponent scouted him. He knows he's not really going to be able to get by. The cannon's already up. And just the scare of the early pool is an okay amount of damage for July. He's going to actually go ahead and make this hatchery. Hero decides not to pylon block, of course, considering that the pool's already out. Smart choice. And it looks like Hero is going to go ahead and make the Nexus without walling off.
July is able to get into the main base with a bunch of Zerglings. That would actually be huge. That cannon will be able to take down 1 or 2 Zerglings. The Overlord is in a position where he's able to scout the wallland of his opponent. So July might just decide to sneak in there and to scout, but he's already heading back.
He knows with the Overlord, he's like, alright, well, I might get 1 Zergling in your base. Is that really worth it? I don't think so. Rather, more importantly, I want to go make sure this probe is found. So he sends 1 Zergling to chase the probe. Making drones only at home as gas is finishing up now. He's going to get Zergling speed pretty soon.
July is now already building his hatchery as well. Hero has built his... he built his Nexus a little bit later. He had to take care of that cannon first, and that's exactly what July wanted to achieve. He didn't have to sacrifice all that much of his economy in order to force Hero to do this. So that's okay.
And it looks like Hero, you know, he felt comfortable enough making the Nexus before starting to wall off any of his buildings. So he read this really well. He did not overreact, did not freak out. And July just continued to make only drones, of course, back at home as hatchery has finished, as you said.
The important thing for Hero in this situation was that he was not only able to scout the pool and the Overlords of his opponent, but at the same time the probe was running towards his base again when the Zerglings popped out. So he knew exactly that there were only 4 Zerglings, that there weren't 6 of them, and he could react by building that Nexus a little bit earlier. If he would have scouted 6 Zerglings, he would have gone for the wall in first. So very nice decision making by Hero.
Absolutely.
And he's hiding a pylon now.
Yeah, he is hiding a pylon on the left side of the map. This may be to warp in a few gateways there to completely hide them from July, but most likely it's just a pylon he's going to have for presence later. He's actually going to send this probe in, try to get a little bit of a scout, but he might want to warp in Zealots, put some pressure on the third base of July from this pylon. A lot of the times that pylon gets denied by Zerg players, so if he hides it early like this, he has it up no matter what.
He's going for a second cannon. I like this decision. He is really going for...
Yeah, he's playing against July Zerg. I mean, of course. You gotta make a second cannon.
A lot of Protoss players will actually try to skip this and to just go for 1 cannon defense and be punished for this. But July is getting that second... Hero is getting that second cannon. I really like his decision making in this game so far. Latech now for July, getting speed as well, a little bit of a delayed speed. We talked about this at length yesterday, that delayed speed when your opponent is going for a fast expansion is definitely something that you should consider, because you can just focus on your minerals a little bit longer.
Well, we're going to find out pretty soon what Hero's tech choice is going to be. It looks like he is going to add the 3 gateways, adding them though in his natural. And yeah, that pylon that's on the left side of the map is just going to be for some warp and zealot pressure, perhaps, if he chooses to go for that. And the lair is really fast for July. We may see, yeah, 2-base Spire. There it is. And it's a really good map for Spire Tech.
Yep, it definitely is. You can just put pressure to the main base, to the expansion. And at the same time, you can just try to prevent your opponent from getting a third base if you're there in time to kill 1 or 2 probes that are trying to head over to that spot.
I'm not sure if I like this Overseer move by July, because, you know, if he had just positioned his Overlord correctly, sneaked around the bottom, he probably would be able to see these gateways. But now, Hero actually knows, oh, you have Lair Tech really fast. Like, that's super fast. So I know that you're either going for Mutas or you're going for Infestor Tech really quickly. It's this map, you're probably going Infestors. But interestingly, actually, Hero replies by making a Robotics. I thought he might start Hallucination to get prepared to start scouting exactly what his opponent's doing. But he is going to warp in some Zealots. Not at his forward pylon, though, as he is going to pressure with them.
I'm a bit surprised as well that Hero is now going for the Robotics. He might want to have that Observer so that he can act accordingly if his opponent is researching Burrow. And
yeah, that's also a possibility.
He's getting the Warp Prison now, but I think that if he expects pressure with Mutalisk, he should go for Templar Archive and Blink, but he's heading right for the Robotic support bay. 9 Mutalisks are being built now. And
yeah,
Hero,
it's a scary position for Hero. I'm a little bit surprised July is not making Spine Crawlers as natural, considering that he's seen this push as well. He does have a decent amount of Zerglings out right now.
+1 is not done just yet. He might try to catch those sentries out of position.
Yeah, he does have a decent amount of Zerglings out. In total, 25, 54 drones to 52 probes right now.
He doesn't have Anti-Air. He doesn't have anything at all in order to deal with the Mutalisks, and he's warping in Zealots. Why would he do that? He's not even getting Stalkers. Those Mutalisks will take down every single
this Muta is
sentry.
going to crush this army, and you know what? I feel like Hero has really misread the situation, Caldor. He saw the fast lair, but he did not react. Zerglings coming in here, and the sentries are nowhere near enough. The Zerglings retreat. They're not useful in this situation. And Hero now realizing he is in a lot of trouble. These Zealots are not going to be able to kill a hatchery.
He finally warped in a bunch of Stalkers, but way too late. The Zealots have +1 attack, but he is losing so many resources now. He lost 4 sentries. And
16 drones in production for July Zerg.
the loss of the sentries alone is horrible. That Warp Prism won't be able to do anything at all. And finally, Hero reacting with a... I don't know why he didn't get the Twilight Council.
Yeah, I
really don't.
Well, you know, here's the thing about what he saw. He saw a fast lair because of the Overseer. He may not have reacted to that, but if he did, he may have thought, okay, I want to get a fast Observer out to see what his opponent's doing. That could have been an option for him. He could have just assumed Infestors, but, you know, in this case, I don't think it's smart to assume. I would have gotten Hallucination immediately, tried to see what my opponent was doing first, but in this case, Hero just kind of assumed July was going for Roaches, I think, and Roaches are pretty common in this type of situation for July, but either way, July's now got control of the map. He's going to kill a bunch of Hero's pylons on the edge, force the Stalkers back. Hero's stuck in his base. July even has a Zergling blocking the third base of Hero. Hero is not even... He's not going to be able to comfortably take a third for a really long time.
And because Hero misread the situation, his blink is so late now, he can't blink in his base in order to defend against the Mutalisk. At the same time, we have July in such a commanding lead that he's not only having the third base, he's getting a 4th in the middle of the map and a 5th base to the left. He didn't scout the warp in pylon though, and as soon as Hero scouts this, he might just be able to get 1 or 2 Zealots over there in order to take down the base.
Yeah, and nice defense by Hero. In this type of situation, a Protoss player basically only has one option. Whoa, nice micro by Hero picking up that sentry and the Warp Prism. I really like that. He's got one option, and that option is to go up to about 150 to 160 supply before taking a third base. Since he's got a really nice turtley position set up, he's got cannons up at his natural and his main. He's got Blink Stalkers. Blink's finished right now. He's going to get Storm. He's going to get some Archons. He's going to get that beefy army that's going to allow him to try to beat July's army somewhere in the middle of the map. But he's definitely behind.
Ah, he's way behind. 88 drones for July against 64. He's engaging, he's trying to take down the Stalkers, and he is killing a fair amount of them, blinking up to the high ground. July knows that he can trade armies here. Yeah. He is so far ahead. 5 bases against 2. And I expect that July will add additional techs so that he's prepared for anything and everything that Hero is able to throw against him.
One thing I am a little bit disappointed in July is that his +1 melee weapons for his Zerglings really is a little bit behind. You should already be starting +2. But either way, this pylon now finally spotted by the hatchery gets taken out. But yeah, his Zerglings are completely unupgraded right now, which means that the Mutaling composition that he's going for is not going to be as strong as it could be. But even so, just like you were saying, he's continuing to trade armies because he's so ahead. It's 186 supply to 119 for Hero. Hero's trying to take a third base right now, but July is just absolutely not going to allow that to happen.
Exactly, he's going in with the Lings and the Mutalist, and so
nice
far,
storm! Hits all the Zerglings and the Mutas!
But he only has, does he have another storm left? I don't think so, and there are so many Mutalists. He has 20 of them. His strike target on the base has to retreat now. He's adding the Baneling Nest. I'm a little bit surprised that he is not going for a Roach Warren, at least as a backup plan in order to switch techs.
Yeah, switching tech to Roaches would be smart. At least having the Warren, I think you're exactly right, would be really smart. That one storm that Hero got actually will allow him to get this third Nexus up, but for how long, Keldor? That is the question. A few Stalkers will be here to deter the Mutas, but only a few. July can actually pick them off. Nice blink, and wow, he's actually going to catch some of these Mutas. Hero doing everything right so far.
July is overextending a little bit. He had such a huge lead that now he is, well, I don't know, too optimistic about his attacks. Hero is doing a good job at defending after he completely misread the game in the early stages. He's now doing very well when it comes down to his defense, and that's what allows him to get that third, and he's actually securing it with cannons now.
Yeah, and the cannons are going to fall very quickly over here in the main base. July trying to pick off whatever he can, going to get this gas that's pretty important. And even though the Stalkers are going to chase them out, he's not going to get a lot. He's forcing the Stalkers back. He's got total control of the map right now. His creep spread is okay. It's getting a little bit better. He's even using some Overlords now in the middle of the map to spread some of that creep. But July has Baneling speed. He's got an Infestation put on the way, which is a really important tech structure. I'm glad he was able to get that. And here we go. He's actually just going to trade armies here again. Baneling speed not quite done, almost done. Dodges a storm.
Well done by July, but the second storm hits home. The Banelings uncontested roll into the army though. There are no force fields whatsoever. He's headed towards the third phase now, backing up 156 supply against 112.
Where are the Banelings going? They actually do not go for the probes. They go for the Stalkers.
Oh, that's
why?
horrible.
Why? Why would he do that? I don't understand. Hero slowly clawing his way back into this game by Julyzerg's mistakes. He could have killed all the probes or the Nexus with those Banelings. Instead, tried to go for the most cost-inefficient engagement, was engaging those Stalkers, and with Blink, of course he wasn't going to kill most of them. That was a little bit absurd, in fact. I don't know what else, I don't know a different word to use. I think absurd is the best word in this case.
Well, the thing is, he killed a fair amount, and July immediately started to produce additional Mutalisks, so he is now back to 25 Mutalisks. He kills the anti of his opponent, and that will force Hero at some point to get more and more Stalkers when he just wants to build 10+, when he wants to get Archons. So I don't... Because he has to get Stalkers in order to be able to switch between the bases with Blink to defend. Well, maybe it was not the best decision, but still I think he can definitely make this work as he's streaming in with the Zerglings now. All those Zealots will die. Hero is losing ground, and July just has the economy to back it up.
Oh my god! Why are these things happening, Keldor? What?
Well done by July. That third is doomed. Nothing that Hero can do about it. 200 supply for July. Hero with 110. July taking to Hive, getting +2/+2 for detonating his Banelings. He knows that this game is over. 2 bases against 5. No Colossi tech. He doesn't have any. Well, Colossi won't do anything in this game anyways, but he has just way too much stuff.
Mutas with +2. He shut down all the harassment of Hero. GG. Both players making a decent amount of mistakes in that game, but I feel Hero's key mistake was misreading the situation. He saw the Overseer, and I keep saying he's misread the situation. Maybe he didn't even realize that the lair was that quick at all. I mean, that was the really quick Overseer coming in from July. I mean, as soon as his lair was done, he made it immediately, and he was like, well, I'm going to scout now. And, you know, he wasn't able to even get that much information. He saw the 4 gateways, which everyone makes. I mean, in most cases, unless you're going for a fast Stargate, you're going to make that. And if you're going for a fast Stargate, your opponent's going to kill it with the, kill your Overlord with the Void Ray anyways. You're going to know it's coming. You know, otherwise, you could have just taken that same slow Overlord and patrolled it around the bottom and found the gateways eventually anyways. So I feel like the fast Overseer scout by July, he may have thought it was smart, but it actually kind of revealed what was going on. If I were in Hero's position and I saw that fast one, Overseer, I would have been like, There's no reason to have, if you're getting fast Roach upgrades, there's no reason to have the lair that fast. It actually doesn't make sense. He's got to be going fast Spire. He wouldn't go fast Infestors on cross position on Antigua. I don't think that makes sense. You can't do any, Infestor timing attacks where you drop the Infested Terrans or anything. There's a high ramp there. It just wouldn't make sense. So I would immediately go, oh wow, he's going Mutas. But in this case, not only did he just not assume that, but he didn't even scout, he didn't get hallucination, he didn't even make an observer immediately from his robo.
He wanted to pressure the third base, which is quite common, that you just move out with a bunch of sentries, with the zealots as well, but just with the timing that July chose for his spy attack, it was way too late, and he misread the situation, as you said. He warped in additional zealots instead of stalkers, so he didn't have anything against the mutalists, and after the mutalists picked off not only the zealots, but also those sentries, and they are so expensive when it comes down to gas, Hero was on the back foot, and he couldn't take that third base up to a certain point where he had anti-air in order to defend it, so that was really bad. And you mentioned it, as soon as that army went down, the army of Hero, he immediately built, how many drones? 16?
Yeah, 16.
At a time, so he was so far ahead in his economy. He just got double bases, it was 5 bases against 2, and that was the point in time when Hero realized, okay, this game is going to be really, really hard.
I mean, Hero actually did everything right after that. He got Storm immediately, he turtled on his bases, he did a great job of defending the Muta harass, and if you stick with the 2 bases, you turtle, and you get a strong enough army to push out and take that third, that one Storm that had all the Mutas and the Zerglings was like the key moment where Hero was like, alright, maybe I've got a shot here, and he was able to take that third base, it survived, and he was able to mine from it a little bit, and from there he was slowly trying to inch his way back into the game, but July just traded too efficiently, he just had too much production up at that point, and he was never able to get that 200 army. If, Hero could get that maxed army for just a second with good upgrades and push out on July, especially considering July got his Zergling upgrades really late, he might have had a shot, but July was just too far ahead at that point.
He can lose the Zerglings. It's only a couple of minerals, and he had too many of them anyways. But the main point was that with the Zerglings at the bottom, you can't just draw fire from the Stalkers, so you can deal the major damage with the Mutalisks at that point. But, well, Hero did, as he said, everything right from that point in time, but it was just way too late. He was already too far behind. He could not recover in this match, and therefore, July taking the first game.
Yeah.
In the group, the first game that he plays in that group, and let me just make sure that we don't miss anything today.
Yeah, so far, both their Zergs taking a win, putting them 1-0 and 1-0.
And Hero's in a little bit of a rough spot right now. He performed so well at NASL and DreamHack, but at the Blizzard Cup only 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, he did not do well at Blizzard Cup. He's not been doing that well in the GSL. He's actually one of those Koreans like Moon, for example, who does really well in foreign events, but does not do very well on his own soil. And we'll see if he can, this is only his first game. He didn't play terribly, he just misread the situation. July outplayed him a little bit, and he's got a lot more games. We've got a 6-person group, a 15-game group, so we're going to have a lot more games later. He's got a lot more shots. So losing this first game, not critical. Of course, it does, with the format that we have here in the up and down matches, the most important part about losing this first game is that if he's tied with July later, he's out because of July. So that's one that's really the biggest scratch on his back right now.
What's going to be on our next match, by the way? We're still waiting for the players.
It's going to be JYP against Lovesick.
JYP against Lovesick. Another Protoss versus Zerg.
Yeah. And OGSJ is not a Zerg that we've seen a ton of ZVP out of. JYP, of course, does pretty decent. We're actually going to take a look at that replay by the looks of things, so hold your horses. And see, this Overseer comes in very early from July, even drops a Changeling there. And from this point, Hero knows, okay, the fast layers up. And this must be exactly what the Korean commentators are talking about, too. And from here, rather than going for a safer tech path, or at least going for a more scouting-oriented path, Hero decides to pressure the third base.
And he decides to pressure it with sentries and zealots.
And ordinarily, this is a smart pressure move, but when you see the fast lair, it does not make sense, in my opinion.
I don't think he realized how far gone the Spire already was. He probably thought that he started morphing that Overseer as soon as he hit lair, and that he had a small window of opportunity where he could attack his opponent's third base. That's the only explanation that I can come up with. But July was already building the Spire a while ago, and when Hero was in this position, July actually already had the Mutalisks on the way.
Yeah, and he committed to this attack so heavily. This is normally a very good and smart attack to do on the third base. But he committed really heavily to it. His units are in a position where they cannot retreat, and sentries, of course, not going to fare well against Mutalisk.
No.
And Zealots even less so against that flying enemy.
Yeah, he left a bunch of Mutalisks in order to kill the pilot. At the same time, he already went for that macro hedge, and that was just horrible. Everything died. Hero dropped in supply so fast, 70 against 111 after that engagement, and now July knows that he's in a perfect position. Hero even built that robotics before he tried to get Blink in order to defend his main base. Oh god.
But you can see here as well, Hero doing a great job defending the harassment from this point on.
Yeah, but the damage has been dealt. He can't take that third. 3 bases against 2 at that point in time. And July, he decides to well, I'm going to take 2 additional bases because I can, and I'm droning up heavily. Finally, a Hero with a Blink upgrade, but already July at 74 drones against 60, taking down buildings in his opponent's main base. Just occupy him, keeping him busy so he can't take the third base. And Hero was fighting an uphill battle.
Yeah, it's a tough battle to fight. Mutalisks are so common on this map because their harassment potential is so high. It's so hard to take a third base on this map, even though it seems easy because the third base is fairly close, and even beyond that there's another ramp at that base, so it seems like it would be easy to take, but the reality of it is just that it's not, because the Mutalisks can harass your third base so easily and then go into your main right afterwards. It's very difficult, and when you're behind as much as Hero was at this point, it becomes even more difficult, of course. But like we were saying earlier, he did everything right. He got the Storm, he defended really well here, even got a Warp Prism to try to harass, but July was on top of things. This was a huge overstep, I think, from Hero. In PvZ, there's almost never a good reason to blink forward to chase your opponent, unless he is retreating. But if you see units coming towards you and you blink forward, oh man, so many things could go wrong. And in that case, he lost a lot of his stalkers.
I'm a little bit sad for Hero. He did so well in the early stage of the game when he read perfectly what your opponent was doing. A lot of times you are confronted with an early pool and you are not 100% sure, okay, is this an 11 pool? Is this a 12 pool? Did he go for a 10 pool? When will the Zerglings hit my base? Watch this
Storm. This Storm is so key. Hits all the Zerglings and damages the Mutalisks quite heavily. So that now otherwise July would have just stayed and fought these Stalkers, but since his Mutalisks are too heavily damaged, he cannot fight the Stalkers.
Yeah, he has 22 Mutalisks at that point in time, where July only had 11 Stalkers. He whopped in additional ones after this engagement. But yeah, as I was saying, Hero had read it perfectly well in the early stages, and he was able to respond with only the cannon, then went for the Nexus, didn't delay the Nexus any further, but after this small misstep, and it cost him the game in the end.
Absolutely. So July, see, there's the second Evolution Chamber, not using it for his Zerglings, not as quickly as he could have. That's one thing I will be critical of July in this game. Otherwise, I feel like July played this game almost perfectly. Some of his micro at the end of the game was a little bit sketchy, like his detonation of all those Banelings, missing the Stalkers completely, was a little bit weird, and also his choice to chase down that group of Stalkers with his Banelings instead of going for... See, at this point, watch this engagement. He could have actually gone for the probes at the third base of Hero. He knows his opponent has sentries, he's got a decent amount of Stalkers, and Storm, so why try to engage here? Why not just run up? Look how many Banelings were just used on that Archon. He could have actually just gone for the probes or the Nexus right now. It looks like he's trying to decide if he wants to do it. He goes up for it, then just for some reason sees the cannons and turns around and goes for these Stalkers instead. Well,
he knows that he can't really get around the Nexus, so he would have to bust the cannons, and he actually killed a lot of Stalkers with this engagement. There were 3 cannons up there, nice wall in by Hero, so if he wanted to attack the Nexus or the probes, he would have to go all the way around them, and he would have lost too many, I guess. That's probably why he decided to go
his decision-making there was, not the best, but I can see what he was thinking there. I mean, he could have even busted the Nexus. Either way, the game is over. Basically he was so far ahead at that moment. We're just trying to be critical, but if he just detonated his Banelings like Nestea did against Huck, he probably still would have won the game. JYP against Lovesick. This should be a really interesting match. Lovesick losing 2-0 to Dongregu in the Code A last season. Using one of those hot pads, we have those same, and this hot pad in my hand, it feels like it's just getting warmer as the night goes on.
It is, and it stays warm for about 5 hours as far as I know.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. It's really addictive. I try to just put it away, but every time my hands get cold, and I'm like, no.
I know. I'm actually a little bit concerned about how I can go back to my normal life after this. I hope these aren't expensive, because I don't know if I can go back to a normal life, Kaldor.
Oh, yeah, for free at the GOM Studio, so...
Yeah, if you guys come down to Seoul, go to the GOM Studio, you can get one of these for free. Oh my god, it's the GOM Wizard. You guys got a shot of him there.
Yeah, I think they have a small technical problem over there.
Yeah, it may be that may be the case. We're gonna get an update pretty soon. The list of things. The map is going to be Tal'Darim Altar, and yeah, it looks like there was just a problem with which map we were going to use. We're actually going to use the Blizzard version of the map.
Okay,
that is that. And so, speaking of Blizzard and maps, have you had the opportunity to play on the new maps?
Oh, I actually saw the thumbnails of the maps and I immediately...
You thumbed them down?
I thumbed them down immediately. It was like, I'm a Zerg player. I'm not playing on these maps. There's no way.
As a Protoss, I like the maps.
I bet you do.
Well, admittedly, on the maps, I have only played Protoss versus Protoss, which in most cases doesn't get to a long game. It's usually just on the Korean server at the high level. I'm always just going Blink Soccer Immortal, and so is he, and it's just a battle of micro. But I felt like the architecture was kind of fun. I really like the maps. The maps, I will admit that in some ways the Zerg players probably won't like them that much, but I feel like the maps they replaced were much worse, so it's an improvement overall.
I thumbed them down before, so I just changed my thumb down maps. Nothing changed for me in terms of the map that I
Look
just
at
now
that
played.
Christmas overlay we've got at the up and down matches. You've got your Rudolph hanging up there, a present and 2 ornaments. Happy holidays from GSL.
Oh, I'm looking forward to the holidays. And I'm looking forward to this match, the up and down matches at the GSL, ladies and gentlemen. JYP against Lobster.